Hi, Alston Ridge. This is Mrs. Stafford here, and we are going to read about Langston Hughes today. We have a book called Langston's Train Ride. It is written by Robert Burleigh and illustrated by Leonard Jenkins. Let's get started. Sunday afternoon in Harlem, and 125th Street is alive, swarming with people, jumping and jiving. I'm home. I love walking these streets. The faces, the men in their sharp Sunday suits, the girls in their dresses the color of bright hard candies, the vendors, voices like a rhythmic beat, a whir vibrating in the air. Everything I see speaks to me. To me. I'm on my way to one of the best days of my young life. Look out, Harlem. I'm coming through. My first book of poems, out at last. I've got to make it to a party where all my friends are waiting, just for me. I skit-scat a little half dance on the sidewalk. Yes, I am a poet. I know it now, but there was a time when I wasn't so sure. Not so sure at all. My heels click faster and faster on the sidewalk. That sound pulls me back to that time not so many years ago. I drift back and back some more. Clackety, clack, clack, clack. Yes, I'm riding the rails. With my head tilted against the seat, I listen to the sleepy click of the train wheels, resting my feet on the steel bar in front. Happily, I gaze out at the soft blur of trees through the dust-flecked window. It's 1920, and here I am, all of 18 years old. High school is behind me, and I'm traveling to Mexico to visit my father, who lives there. My father, who left us to fend for ourselves when I was just a little boy. The train rumbles south and west, bumping and swaying past green fields dotted with grazing horses and thin streams that dart suddenly out of the woods. From Ohio to Indiana, little towns with white steeples and lazy stations. Here and there, at the edge of one of these towns, the tar paper shacks or broken down sheds where my people, the Negro people, live, start out with nothing sometime. My grandmother liked to say, and see how long it takes to work up to something. Riding along, I remember my grandmother, who raised me. I loved her pride. I loved her free spirit. I loved the stories she told me about her first husband who died fighting to end slavery. One time she showed me his shawl full of bullet holes. I think of many others too. The Black men and women in my church who cared for me, my Auntie Reed who cooked wonderful apple dumplings with butter sauce, and all the Black folks I'd met while working in an ice cream parlor in Cleveland. They came north with nothing but their brave thunderclap laughter that said, no matter what, I'll keep going. The train rolls on, setting over endless rows of Illinois cornfields. And then, very slowly, we're crossing a long bridge. It's the Mississippi River, far below, with a beautiful golden light shimmering on it. The trees on the farthest shore seem ablaze. Something deep inside me stirs. I feel more awake than I've ever been before. Looking down on its wide, dark flow, I think of what this river means to my people. Slaves worked here, on boats, in nearby fields, and alongside the banks, stacking sandbags to hold back floods. Some slaves were sent down the river, too, to be worked to death on the meanest plantations. I even remember that Abe Lincoln once traveled this river on a raft all the way to New Orleans, where he saw a slave auction and learned to hate slavery. Whoosh! Words and phrases come rushing into my head. The names of other ancient rivers bubble up. African rivers, the Congo, the Nile, the Euphrates. Suddenly, 3 words, just 3. But I know I have to write them down. How? Where? I snatch the envelope with my father's letter in it and turn it over. Who cares where? Just write. On the back side, with a little stubby pencil I always carry, I write the words, I've known Rivers. My thoughts roam. Suddenly, I feel the history of my people flowing right up to this moment. To me, yes, I feel I've lived other lives on those muddy riverbanks. Somehow, somewhere, I've heard the dusky waters of all those rivers lapping and singing. It's true. It's true. I've known rivers. I keep the envelope flat on my lap. I'm madly scribbling words down now, rapidly, one after another. Poems are like rainbows, don't you think? They escape if you're not quick. I turn my head to get one last look at the sun-tinged Mississippi. Going, gone. I scroll the last line. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. And the poem is done. Carefully, I place the envelope inside my coat pocket. Mustn't lose this, no way. I sit there gazing at the reflection of my face in the glass, reciting the poem to myself over and over and over. I lean forward and press my nose against the window. Everything is gathered up in one huge darkness, but as I stare out, I see a few tiny dots of light balanced on the edge of the horizon. Questions keep coming into my head. Am I really a poet? Is it possible? Can I sing my America too, as other great poets have sung theirs? Can I? Then, as I watch the far off, flickering lights, a very tiny voice inside me answers softly but firmly, yes. It says, yes, yes. I settle back in my seat. The wheels hum. The car sways gently on and on. Suddenly, I hear the staccato streets sounds again. A large crowd of people is waving at me. I arrive in front of the Shipwreck Inn. Langston, someone shouts, sit down and sign some books. So I do, still feeling the rhythm of that long ago train right under my feet. A friend calls out, Langston, read some poems, read some poems. I turn to my river poem. Everyone is still. As I read, I remember the glinting sun on the Mississippi and the train wheels turning, and how that poem flowed into my soul like an ancient river of love for my people. Rivers, I think. Maybe we're all part of a big river that flows from way back to here, and from here to who knows where. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when the dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Langston Hughes.